Welcome to my first tutorial on how not to build a boat. This is the first time I've brought my GoPro camera into the boat shed, and for some reason it didn't record the sound as I said it originally, so I'm having to go through the video again and uh, voice caption it all over again. So this test I'm doing here is called a tear or a peel test. And what it's doing for me is I've used very heavy fiberglass on the bottom of the boat, and it's left a very deep texture in the fiberglass. So I've been able to sand it a bit, but I'm afraid of sanding it too far and removing too much fiberglass. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to do this tear test to see how well the new fiberglass adheres to the old. Um, Ideally, you would perform this type of operation with new fiberglass going over the first layer that is still wet, and that way you get a chemical bond. This way, when sanding it, I'm going to end up with a mechanical bond. So I'm applying some epoxy that I thickened with a little bit of Cavasil to help fill the little the texture of the fabric that's underneath. And on top of that, I'm going to place the 12 ounce fiberglass. This will be the next layer that goes over the whole bottom. And I'm going to do it exactly as I would do it if we were laminating the next layer. So here I'm just wetting out the fiberglass, and I'll work that in as best I can. The fiberglass goes almost transparent when it's fully wet out. The piece of fabric that you can see in the foreground, that's peel ply, and that's going to allow me to lift the fiberglass off the hull and see if I can peel it off. I'll probably leave this on for about 48 hours before I try peeling it off. It just takes a little bit of work to get the epoxy in, but this 12 ounce fiberglass is fairly light, so it wets out really well. I'm sorry, I don't have any background music, and I really don't think you want me to sing. The Cavasil is a thickener. It's quite frequently mixed with epoxy, and what it does is it keeps the epoxy from running out of the fiberglass and filling the little voids in between the warps and the wefts of the fabric. That tip came to me from some other very experienced fiberglass boat repair guys. And we used it on one side of the boat when we were having problems with epoxy bleeding out and leaving dry spots, and it seems to have worked very well. Normally on a large scale lamination, I would probably have used a roller to wet out the fiberglass, but for this small test I'm just using one of these cheap disposable brushes. Exciting cinematography, isn't it? I should get a few awards for this performance. I like to clean up all my drips as best I can because I just have to end up sanding them off anyways. And over top of the fiberglass, I'm going to use more peel ply. Now what the peel ply does is it holds the epoxy in place, keeps it from running out, which is more important when you're working on a vertical or near vertical surface. It also helps feather out the edges. It will hold epoxy to the edge of the fiberglass, which makes for a lot less sanding. As you're squeegeeing out the peel ply, it will also show you dry spots, areas where you need to add more epoxy, which you can actually do over top of the peel ply and just work it in gently. One of the other big advantages to peel ply is when you remove it, you peel it off, hence the name, is it leaves you a fractured surface that is very rough, probably very close to what you would get if you sanded the fiberglass with a bit of 40 grit disc. Um, if your lamination is good, then you really don't have much sanding to do. On my forearms, you'll notice that those are soccer shin pads. Uh, it helps keep your forearms out of all the sanded fiberglass dust and prevents a lot of itching.